Open your third eye, bro. You gotta do, if you don't open your third eye, then how are you supposed to experience the magic of life? How are you supposed to visualize your future? How are you supposed to have these dreams and epic awesomeness? Like, it's just not possible.
Hey Hatchlings, it's DragonFaether and welcome back to the channel. And on today's episode, I'm super excited because today we're going to talk about how you can discover your psychic abilities. If you're new here, merry meet. My name is Azura. I post new magical videos every week, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you have not already and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Hopefully. Before we jump into the juicy details of how you can discover your psychic abilities, how to unlock them, and how to awaken them within you, I'm so excited to announce that today's video is sponsored by Keene. Simply click the link in the description box down below and hit get started. Then, based upon what you're looking for, answer the quiz accordingly to find your best match. And based on what you answer, you'll get a list of psychics and readers for you to choose from to pick the one that's best for you. Online service that provides access to vetted psychics as well as spiritual advisors. I actually personally have never gotten a reading like this before, nor have I ever paid for one. I've never experienced that, so I was very keen to try this because I actually had no idea what to expect. And to be completely transparent, because that's how we roll here on the channel, Keene reached out to me and wanted to pay me to create this video, as well as giving me a credit to use their service for free so I could see if it was a good fit for you guys or not. And after trying it, I think it is a fantastic fit, and even though I actually thought it was kind of like bullshit at first, I had no idea what to expect, I'm actually really impressed with the service. Not only is Keene the most affordable way to meet new advisors, but it's also a great place to develop lasting relationships with the favorite advisors that you have. So say you have a particular advisor for love and relationships, well, by developing a relationship with this particular person and becoming a repeat client, you can actually get access to like special deals. Maybe they would even offer you discounts or some sort of like thing like that. It just really depends on finding the right person for you, and Keene makes it really easy and affordable to do so. Yes, it does not matter. You can reach somebody at any time of the day, and you can get advice on anything from love and relationships to career and work to life's toughest challenges, maybe even like if you're going through a grieving process or you're going through a really exciting transition. Anything under the sun, you can find an advisor for you. Tried the service out and I actually got a really incredible reading. She gave me a reading on my career and life path, where I'm headed in 2020, and I got some really good wishes and some great advice, as well as some extra goodies in the email. And even though our call dropped in the middle of our conversation and reading, she sent me some free minutes to make up for that, and it's just really great way to connect. And she was very accurate too, and only asked me for my name and my birthday for me. I was pretty excited about it. And the best part is that each week Keene sends its users discounts, so you're always getting the best value for your coin. And so sometimes maybe you're not really exactly sure if, like I was, like psychic readings or like what you need. Well, you can definitely try it with this and see if it is right for you. You can get your first 3 minutes for free, and if you really do enjoy it, then they'll give you some discounts if you decide to be a user long term. It's pretty exciting, and I definitely recommend. If you would like to try Keene for yourself, don't forget to click my link down below. It's the first one in the description box, called trykeene.com/Azura, so you guys can get your first 3 minutes for free. And it's pretty exciting because you can get a lot of information in 3 minutes. My reading was only 6 minutes long and I got so much out of it, so it's actually a really good deal, and I really do recommend giving it a check out and even just kind of seeing how it works, because who knows, maybe you'll find somebody there who's perfect for you and your reading meets, and the rest is history, am I right? If you click my link, then you're helping the channel out, you're helping me out a lot, and I really appreciate you so very much. So thank you so much, Keene, you're amazing, and stay tuned to the end of the video to hear a little bit more about our sponsors for today. Cheers! Today's video is probably a very long overdue video because I really have wanted to create content for you guys about psychic abilities I felt like I really didn't know much. I needed to experience more, and I needed to kind of like get more experience with psychics and just kind of like, what is this, right? What is this? Some of the psychic abilities that you may be familiar with are, for example, clairaudience, clairsentience, the clairvision, I don't know, the clarity of sight and hearing and feeling and all of that, and then there's other psychic abilities as well. I personally would consider a very strong intuition a psychic ability. For those of you guys who are not too sure what a psychic ability is, I'll give you a quick definition that is my own definition because I couldn't really find one that I liked too much online. So if you guys have a different definition for a psychic ability, please leave it down in the comment section below so we can all see how you guys define your words. So to me, the definition of a psychic ability is a ability or a sense that is not physical in nature. So what do I mean by that? That means that it's not like I'm seeing the camera, it's not like I'm hearing the fact that my cat's licking herself right now, it's not that I can taste or I can smell or I can feel, it's beyond that. And that's how I feel and how I perceive psychic abilities. What do you guys think? My psychic ability is my intuition. My intuition is so strong. It's the one that I have like the most connection to. My intuition tells me things, like, and what I mean by that is like if I walk into a space where something's not right, I will feel it. My intuition will make me feel really horrible right before something really horrible is about to happen. So for example, the night before the community, I felt so sad. Like I was just like, something feels not right. I felt super like restless. I couldn't sleep. I kept crying. I was jittery, like shaking. Like I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know if it was just like my mental health spiraling, if I was just kind of having an episode, maybe I just had a bad day. Like I didn't know. And then the next day when you know, the tragedy happened, I was like, that's why I felt wrong. This hasn't been the only time that it's happened to me. I get this really like doomsday feeling in my gut sometimes, and it's usually right before people pass away. I don't really know if you would call that intuition. I think that that might be premonition, that might be like borderline premonition. But for example, say I like am around somebody and they like just aren't feeling right to me, like my intuition picks up on that. And in my past relationships, I would ignore that intuition, and it really messed me up in the long run. And one of the biggest lessons that I took from my relationships was to never, ever ignore your intuition. For unlocking your psychic abilities, usually it pertains to something that you had a strength in as a child, or you have a passion for currently. So for me personally, when it comes to this, I have such a huge passion for keeping people safe, for keeping people healthy, and for keeping people like cozy, if that makes sense. Like I'm very much like a mother bird that way. I like to just keep everybody in the nest, you know? So that's why I have such a desire to keep people safe. I have such a desire to help people that my intuition and my psychic ability, or the premonitions that I get, because I have like precognitive dreams too, which I also consider a psychic ability. When it comes to these abilities, it's really important to listen to them. And sometimes these abilities, like your psychic abilities, won't always be super overwhelmingly loud. And what I mean by that is like, for example, with your intuition, say you're in like a club or something and some person approaches you and they just got some sort of weird vibe and your intuition picks up on that. When your intuition communicates that to you, it's gonna feel like a tiny small little feeling or a tiny little whisper. It's not gonna be screaming at you, it's not gonna be blatantly obvious. Maybe sometimes, but for the most part, it's usually a very quiet whisper. It tends to be that the ones who speak the truth quietly, or speak the truth with not so much like enthusiasm. It's not like a performance when you tell the truth. It simply is. Where like when you're lying, when you're trying to deceive somebody, it's a performance. You are acting, you are doing this, and trust me, I know because I've done this. I used to be a pathological liar, I used to do all that dumb shit, right? But the thing is, just keep an ear out and keep a feeling out for that tiny little feeling, that tiny little whisper that you might hear. When it comes to finding your psychic abilities, there's a few things that I have for you to try. Number one, take a look at yourself now. Take a look at yourself in your childhood. What were some things that you remember that maybe you couldn't explain? For example, I have some experiences where, like premonition, like intuition type of situation, where I would walk into a house and I would just feel something else there, and I was like, this, we aren't alone. And that's my intuition picking up on the sense that we aren't alone. But when the premonition comes into play, it's like, okay, well, if we stay here, I have the feeling that something bad's gonna happen. Premonition. As it moves and moves and moves, it could literally be anything. You know, you could literally have any type of psychic ability. You know, I really truly believe that being an empath is also a psychic ability. Being able to pick up on people's emotions and feel their emotions as your own is not inherently everybody's experience. You know what I mean? Like, everybody needs oxygen, but everybody's not an empath, okay? So those who are super empathetic, you guys have a psychic ability there. When you're looking into your past, into your childhood, say that you really did pick up on people's emotions and feelings as a kid. Maybe you saw someone cry, you would cry too. That's a sign that maybe you're empathetic. So for example, maybe when you were young, you had really vivid dreams and they came true later. Precognitive dreams. Maybe now you're very, very, very fascinated with meditation. So maybe for you, something like clairaudience would be something to look into. Something like automatic writing, getting messages that way, is considered psychic abilities. I would consider pretty much any form of divination as a psychic ability. So what is divination? Crystal ball gazing, tarot cards, using runes, using pendulums, and the reason why I consider that a psychic ability is because you need to use more than your physical senses to interpret the answers, to interpret the messages. You know what I mean? You need that kind of, that intuition, you know? You need that kind of ability to pick up on those kinds of things, and not everybody has that, and that's totally okay. Part of being a human is having psychic abilities, and for the most part, it's like programmed out of us as we grow up from being children, because when we're children, we are the most authentic selves that we have. And that is when we are the most malleable, the most moldable, and we're learning the most in our first 6 years of life. That is what determines the majority of how we operate in the future life that we have. So in that time frame, and a little bit after that too, that's a really, really strong time to cultivate the psychic abilities. And a lot of us in our experiences have either been demonized because of it, maybe our parents are like, no, you can't do that. You know, maybe we got scrutinized for it or bullied for our psychic abilities. The list goes on. But if you have lost touch with your psychic abilities as an adult, like I did, you know, when I was growing up, I lost touch with my intuition. You know, I completely ignored myself in my relationships, and I kind of had to gain that back. But if you are in that situation, you're not doomed to fail. It's really important to remember that your psychic abilities may not happen right away. And it's really okay if you don't hear, or you don't experience, or you don't see anything, or get any feelings like when you're first starting out. That is totally normal and something that you should never, ever be ashamed of. Don't ever let anyone else tell you that you have to be a certain way to have psychic abilities, because that is false. Psychic abilities are part of the human experience, and everybody and anybody who chooses to work on these abilities can cultivate them. Sure, everybody's experience will be different. Some people are more natural at it than others, whatever. All I'm saying is that it's a part of the human experience, and there's no right or wrong way to discover your psychic abilities. It's really whatever you feel called to do. Maybe gazing at the moon is a way for you to figure out your psychic abilities. Maybe staring at a sky full of clouds, you know, but at the same time, maybe the best way for you to see is to do automatic writing. Go into a trance-like state and just write and see what happens, even if it's just gibberish at first. It's really up to you to decide, and I'm not really gonna cover in this video like all the different types of psychic abilities. If you're interested in that video, let me know. Leave a comment down below if you want me to cover like the different types of psychic abilities. I'm very, very, very keen to tell you guys that when it comes to psychic abilities, you are bound by the laws of physics. Us as witches, us as humans, because every witch is a human, surprise, we are bound by the laws of physics. We cannot break those. Because we are human, we are bound by the laws of this world, because we are in this world. Therefore, we cannot play God in the sense that we can move objects with our minds or blah, blah, blah. For any of you guys who are like pyrokinesis, I'm like, y'all are crazy. Sorry if you guys like believe in that, but I'm not sorry, because like you can't mess with the laws of physics. I know so many people who are like convinced that they can levitate themselves and stuff like that, and like, wow, that's all fine and dandy, and I'm totally open to being proven wrong. Right now, the thing is like science is like legitimately a thing, whether or not you believe in it, so we're gonna keep that as a standard on the channel. And I'm always open to being proven wrong, so let me know in the comments if you think I'm absolutely inaccurate. Practicing your psychic abilities, how do you really cultivate that? How do you practice it? Some people are just put in the position where they practice their psychic abilities without even realizing it. They just experience it, or, you know, they hear things with their clairaudience, or they see things with their precognitive prophetic vision, or whatever it may be. But the thing is like, it's just really important to remember that everybody's experience is different, and when we're practicing it, just because one person may practice more than the other, or one person may have more experience than the other, does not invalidate the other's practice. It simply makes us different and incomparable, because all of our experiences are so nuanced and unique, there's no way to compare it. People who say it has to be a certain way is just, it's very inaccurate, you know? Like, sure, it's okay to believe that your way is the only way, but to tell other people that and to push that onto other people is really not your position. Keep an open mind when you're working with your psychic abilities, and if you feel weird, or if you feel like you're judging yourself, or if you feel ridiculous, like, that's totally normal. It's really important to express the fact that like when you're starting to do something new, you're going against the pathways in your brain that are there on a regular basis. When you choose to do something new, you choose to create a new path in your brain, and that is gonna feel uncomfortable. So if you feel ridiculous and uncomfortable at first, that's actually a good sign. It means that you're being totally normal. Oh my gosh, isn't that awesome? Don't you want to be normal? Said no one ever. These things are very infinite. There's really not a right or wrong way. It's a very subjective experience. And when it comes to practicing your psychic abilities, sometimes it's not easy to just practice them. Something like automatic writing, for example, could probably be a lot easier than doing something like precognitive something, because whenever any sort of like premonitions come up or like precognitive dreams, I just can't make that happen on my own. I just have to wait for it to come to me. Or like when it comes to like clairaudience, I personally feel like when you meditate and communicate with your dragon guardians, or any gods or goddesses or spirits that you may work with, like spirit guides, I personally believe that that is a form of clairaudience because you are hearing them. I think that is my experience. Maybe it's not your experience, but that type of psychic ability is easier to practice than something like precognition, if that makes sense. Same thing with intuition. I feel like intuition is very situational, where like other practices are like very much like I could do it wherever, whenever I want. Some of them are just like, it'll happen to me whenever it wants. You know, some of it's out of our control, some of it's in our control. It's just good to know the difference. Once you kind of like figure out like what you're interested in, really what I recommend is searching that particular type of psychic ability. So if you're like me and you get precognition, like search precognitive dreams, search prophecies, search premonitions, search that kind of stuff like that and see what happens and see what you come across. If you want to do like automatic writing, look up like different ways to do automatic writing. If you're working with a type of psychic ability that is more, let's say, for example, like harder to experience, like it's very situational, like it has to just happen instead of like it can't really be induced like automatic writing can. When it comes to that, that's the case where it's like put yourself in positions where you're in new places and in new experiences and having new stimuli, because that's what's gonna like trigger the psychic abilities, is by doing new stuff. Or on the opposite, by doing too much of the same thing. Whatever sounds good to you is great. Like it really, there's no right or wrong way. Like I said, I really can't say it and stress it enough because it's so important. So important to remember that it is your experience. It is your psychic ability, okay? It is your interpretation of your life. And nobody else has any sort of jurisdiction on telling you what you can and cannot practice. While I will tell you you're ridiculous if you think that you can levitate water with your mind, it is not my place to tell you you're wrong, even though I think you're crazy. That's like a whole nother thing, you know what I'm saying? Because when it comes to the psychic abilities, like it's very subjective, like I was saying, but it's also really important to keep a skeptical mind because it's so important to question everything. And while that might sound weird, like, I'm not telling you to question yourself as in like question yourself as like, am I good enough? Can I do this? Blah blah blah. I'm not saying that. I'm just asking you to question yourself as in like, did I really just see that? Do I resonate with what I just felt? Do I resonate with what I hear? Do I feel like something's near me? Does this practice seem legit? You know what I mean? Like, ask yourself questions like that because you're gonna get yourself to a place and a space where you can really, truly, critically think about your experiences and separate your emotions. Because when it comes to psychic abilities, there's a lot of excitement, especially when you have an experience and you feel like you can do something that others cannot. That can be very, very thrilling. It's important to remember to take our emotions out of it and to use our logical mind too, because when it comes to our psychic abilities, it's a blend of logical and illogical, and it's a blend of physics and metaphysics, and that's why I love it so much, because it is both light and dark. It's both yin and yang. It walks the balance, you know, and there's a balance to be kept when it goes to this, or it kind of falls into like a side of like being delusional, and it's a very fine line. And I wanted to address that in this video because I have seen and like I've seen content creators, I've seen like people who in the Hatchling clan and stuff who really truly believe that they can do things that are physically impossible, and they like base it around psychic abilities. But then at the other end, I see people who have psychic abilities who refuse to acknowledge it because they have that doubt in their mind. So just kind of remember that and try and like keep an open mind and like remember to question yourself, but remember to trust that like feeling you get in your gut. Like if you see something, or say you do automatic writing and you get a message, if your gut feeling is like yes, then yes. If your gut feeling's like meditate on it. If your gut feeling's like absolutely not, then no. And it takes practice. So I'm not saying that you guys are gonna get there overnight, because you probably will not. I certainly didn't. It took me so many years to like redevelop my psychic ability after losing it, and it's like if you're anything like me and you lost connection with that part of yourself, then it might take you longer than somebody who has been encouraged to develop and cultivate these abilities since they were a child. So don't beat yourself up. You know, we are all on our own unique path, we're all on our own unique place, and there's never, never, never a better time to start than now to get that all ready to go. So I hope that this was a great introductory video on psychic abilities, how to discover yours, how to practice, kind of like a little bit of overview on mine, and I am very excited to see your guys' feedback. Would you guys like to see more psychic ability content on my channel? I know it's a little out there for even my channel. I've never covered this topic before, mostly because I thought it was bullshit, but I'm really excited to look more into my psychic abilities. So what have we learned today? Psychic abilities are an entirely individual experience. They can be experienced by anybody. Anyone telling you that psychic abilities have to be practiced a certain way or they are invalid are wrong. And to anyone and everyone who tells you that they can move shit with their mind, question them politely. Don't be mean. There's no need to be mean, even if people are being weird. You are keen to try Keene. Don't forget to click my link in the description box down below, trykeene.com/Azura, so you can get your first 3 minutes free off your reading, and maybe you can even go ask one of the readers over there about your psychic abilities if you're so inclined to do so, as it really helps the channel out a lot, and I would love to hear your experience with your readers. Thank you so much, Keene. You are incredible for helping support this channel and the Hatchlings. We are so grateful, and we are super excited that you chose to work with us, so thank you so much. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, but until next time, stay geeky
And tricky and freaky little hatchlings. Woo!
Thank you so much, Keene. You guys are the real MVP of today's video, and yeah, all that good information will be down below for you, and I'll catch you guys later. But until next time, blessed be, and bye!